apartment, and I really wanted greenery space and just, to have a little bit of sanctuary. Because the home in the past 2 years was not only a place where we slept and rested, it also became a place where we worked, where we studied. Now, does anyone have kids who did homeschooling? I did homeschooling. Oh my goodness. We wanted space. We wanted to be able to have that ease of movement. And another thing that really was highlighted in the past 2 years is that how our environments really make an impact on our wellness and our mental health, right? And that our environment can either have a positive impact or a negative impact. And really we've learned that living in well-designed spaces is so essential to our well-being and informs how we move, how we breathe, even the way we wake up in the morning. Doesn't that change your whole day? If you have a nice window and you're looking outside and the sun is shining, instead of like staring at just another concrete wall, your day will be better and your life will be better. So, I think we can all agree that space is the new luxury, correct? That's what I think. Space is definitely the new luxury. And the question is, how do we achieve this? So for Filigree, it's really about putting the people at the central focus of all their projects and really understanding how they live their lives. What do they need at home? How do they move within the home? And of course, what do they want to experience when they actually step outside the home? Would you like to have a grocery near you, communities, parks, trees, all of this. And everything from the interiors to the exteriors, the amenities, and particularly a focus on the nature that surrounds it. All of this must come together in a beautiful space that provides the clientele with the finest living experience. Now, I'm sure you were able to take a look a little bit at the model here, and we are all familiar with their original project, Botanika Residences, but all of this has been embodied in Filigree's latest project, To Botanika. Now, I'm so excited you guys got to see the video that we just played, and today we have some very special guests because we will be able to learn a little bit more and meet the great minds who collaborated on this project and helped make it a reality. Now, first I want to hear from our hosts today, the people behind Filigree who are responsible for designing the spacious, safe, and of course distinctive communities here. I would like to introduce the first Vice President and Filigree Business Unit Head, Ms. Daphne Sanchez.
Everybody, good afternoon. I'm so happy to see all of you here and welcome to the Filigree Suites. Well, today first I would like to welcome our distinguished guests, starting with Ms. Catherine Ilagan, our President and COO for Filinvest Company. We also have Francis Damiano, our SVP for FDC, Filinvest Company. And of course, we'd like to say hello to all our friends from the media. Maraming salamat, and I'm so happy to see all of you face-to-face again. Ito po ang unang big launch namin, big event in this space. So it's such a welcome change to be able to see all of you here again, gathered in one place. We're so thankful to have an opportunity like this after 2 years of mostly staying inside our homes. But I'm sure all of you agree, we've had so many valuable learnings from that time. One of which is we cannot overemphasize the importance of our living spaces to our overall health. It's not just about having a beautiful space. It's also about being in a space that promotes a sense of happiness, satisfaction, and well-being. As a luxury real estate developer, Filigree has always placed this high in our list of priorities, building homes in strategic locations, designing carefully thought out dwellings, and providing an abundance of nature and open space. Partnering with only the top world-class design consultants so we can offer the highest level of craftsmanship for every aspect of the home we create. This is evident in the first tower of our flagship project, Botanical Nature Residences, in which every detail was carefully thought out. Botanica truly stands out not only because of its beauty, but more importantly because of the way it delivers the most distinctive living experience. And now, because of our success, Botanica continues to grow as we offer our second tower to Botanica. Located in the most exclusive portion of Villa City, residents have convenient access to all of life's essentials while having the benefit of being surrounded by nature. In terms of design, it is also unmatched in that every detail has been carefully thought out by some of the most distinguished designers in our industry. This is a collaborative masterpiece by the experts, some of whom are here with us today. With this newest offering, Filigree further redefines the ultimate in fine living as we retain all that we loved in the first tower, but this time putting greater emphasis on the generosity of space and thoughtful design. Throughout this afternoon's program, we will be sharing all the things that make Tu Botanica very special. And by the end of this day, I'm sure all of you would agree that with Tu Botanica, space truly is the new luxury. Maraming salamat po, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the program.
Brought us something as wonderful as the Botanica Nature Residences, and when we thought we couldn't get any better, now we have two Botanica. And today we have with us our wonderful panel. I'm going to go here, and to help me facilitate this discussion, I would like to introduce architect Armando Casiban, an industry expert himself and former director at ACOM Philippines, who was also instrumental in the landscape design of the first tower of Botanica Nature Residences and the master plan of Philippines. Can you have me stand up for He's joining us today, and I'm very excited because today we are going to have a conversation with all of the people who collaborated on the wonderful design of Tu Botanica. Okay, so I am going to sit down and introduce our panel today. First, we have Ms. Daphne Sanchez, one of the visionaries behind Filigree. Now, she's a very much accomplished leader. She's an industry stalwart, ably juggling business and family life, a true woman of substance. This is Ms. Daphne here. Our next panelist is the president and principal for sustainability practice of Ecotech Tectonica Inc. and Vice Chair of Philippine Green Building Council, in charge of design consultancy and varied projects from conceptual phase to full certification. We have architect Rowena Ramos. We'll have a round of applause, please. She is known for her imaginative and sometimes whimsical work on commercial and high-end residential projects around the world, giving each their own distinct style and personality. And for Filigree, she did interior design for Botanica Nature Residences common areas, and she just came from Singapore, the managing director and creative force of the Miyama Design Group, Ms. Isabel Miyama. Our next panelist was trained in lighting design in New York, and her portfolio includes distinctive residential interiors in New York, London, Hong Kong, Vancouver, and Manila. She's Tu Botanica's space planning consultant. She's also a painter focusing on figurative realism, an interior architect and principal designer of Parakeet Galicia Inc., Ms. Tina Parakeet. I'd like to take note that it's nice to have all these lovely ladies here in the industry. It's nice little girl power here. Also,
I was spoiled.
yeah, look at you, the rose among the thorns, the thorn among the roses. Also joining us virtually is the administrator of Leandro Felix Partners. He serves as an internal critic and design consultant on the firm's defining projects and as presenter for the firm's complex and important work. He's often at the forefront of the firm's joint design efforts with allied collaborators, design partners, and consultants, Mr. Andy Luxton Jr. Hello.
Hello there.
And last but certainly not least, completing our panel is a globally respected name in architecture. He is the former director of Smith Group, Architecture International, a global architecture and design firm that has established a reputation of excellence for design, especially in premier urban mixed-use developments and multifamily residential projects. The master planning consultant from Botanica Nature Residences, joining us all the way from San Francisco is Mr. Bill Higgins. Okay, it's very exciting to have everybody here. I love that we can do hybrids. We can have everybody's voices heard, even from all the way in San Francisco. So thank you so much for joining us today. Now, I really love the space we're in, and I believe it's Tina who designed this, correct?
That's correct. Thank you. Yes, it was an amazing experience doing this, and it's wonderful to be here enjoying it and experiencing it with everyone as well.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so there's something very unique about Botanica, and if you've seen their AVP and the model units, it's about this concept of the vertical village. Now I know here in the Philippines, village living is sort of like prime luxury living, and I love this idea of the vertical village concept. So I'd like to expound on this first off today. Now maybe we can ask Bill Higgins to start. Architect Bill, would you like to talk a little bit about the master plan of Botanica Nature Residences? And of course, Andy, would you like to come in and sort of discuss this concept of the vertical village?
Yes, I'd be glad to start. And one of the things when we first looked at the project, given the topography and the site location next to the country club and the residential area, was we did not want to create an urban plan with urban blocks lining the street. We wanted something more organic, like towers in the park. You know, there are no straight lines in nature. So what we were looking at is something that might be a little bit more curvilinear. If you take like the arc of two circles and you bring them together, the void that they created in the middle sort of became an atrium, a sort of protected indoor courtyard or garden, and a space for circulation. What this did was create a building form that was curvilinear in nature, more organic, and had softened facades and edges, which allowed for parallel passing views. For passing views, there are no parallel edges between the buildings. And so this grouping of buildings, the clustering of the buildings, sort of create diverse views between buildings. At the same time, on a daily basis, you get a connection to air, light, and nature, and also a connection to your neighbors, which helps create the village aspect of the buildings. So and also the buildings, that even though they form their own individual building, the entire complex is connected by landscape, and there's a unique landscape that gives each building its own identity. But together, they come together as an organic cluster of buildings that open to nature and also gives you a connection to your neighbors.
Fantastic.
And just to jump in there.
Yes, please, go ahead. No, I was just going to mention that it's very true. In most condominium units, you don't know your neighbor. And that's what gives that village neighborhood feel. I think that's really nice to highlight. Andy, sorry?
Yeah, I was just going to say, in line with what Bill is describing, very early on there was this intent to try and make sure that actually the layouts of the buildings and the forms lend themselves basically for people to discover spaces and how those spaces actually are intertwined, not only on the ground level, but in 3D. This whole concept of bringing light in and air all the way through turns out, of course, to be very germane to the pandemic situation, a very healthy sort of situation. But the landscape, we worked with Dodo all the way through. We used with AECOM. The big idea on the master plan was to weave together basically the landscape, the spaces, right through the building, so that you got this feeling of shared amenity all the way through, the same way as a village that you would imagine Those buildings, not only the shape because of those circular forms, but they present this sort of opportunity to have sort of really good laminar airflow along the surfaces of the buildings because they're curved. So it just sort of induces basically sort of good airflow around the buildings, as well as since they are not facing each other in a parallel way, they're essentially tangential to each other. You don't get direct views into the apartments across. You preserve a sense of privacy, almost like a home, and yet you have this very open vistas, very transparent feelings when you're inside the apartments.
Fantastic, thank you. I like that idea that you still have this idea of openness but privacy, which is very important when you're living closely,
Let me
right?
just jump in on note from Andy, because he mentioned my name. Well, you know, my name is your name.
Sorry, no.
That's all right. No, we worked together very closely, and I recall the days when we were thinking about the design concept for the landscape. The thing that resonated with me the most was really the team's and the project's commitment to creating a true indoor-outdoor living experience. So you imagine coming off your home, you open up into your corridor, you immediately bathe with this sunlight coming from the atrium, and then you come down to the scenic elevator, and you're always connected to nature. You see the outdoors, and when you land on the breezeways, we call it, and green lobbies, it's really an expansive green space that's interconnected all throughout underneath the towers. So that to me was a very, very interesting idea, and it's good to see that coming into fruition, especially coming into Tower 2 or Botanika 2.
You know, I think back in the day, living outdoors was like mostly just for children, but people really now really look for that